Hello my friends, welcome back to Rant World with me, Notorious BLT. So, last time on Rant World we talked about some serious business. We also talked about I guess it was also technically serious business, or at least it was real world stuff. It was, the bat saving stuff, saving bats. Which was super cool. So, let's just talk about how I started my day today. Because I actually have today off, which, it feels nice to have a day off. So I went and got my car inspected, not a big deal. I was reading some of this book that I've got called the First Law series, which is very good. If you haven't read it, I am very much enjoying it so far. But, so we'd been doing some spring cleaning, and man, we had so many freaking cables and just like random things around the house or apartment or whatever. And for example, two of the things that I gave away today, 2 litter boxes, and here's the story of why we have 2. It's not like we're hoarding, okay? We had one from our previous kitty, Floyd, who was such a great cat. We love that cat with everything. But unfortunately, he passed away some time ago. And then I had gotten another litter box because our current cat, Cassie, she had been having a couple bathroom accidents, and I was wondering if maybe it was because of the stress of the new place, or like maybe she just needed a different litter box with different litter or something like that. So I decided to try another box, and she just didn't really give a crap about it. So I figured, all right, well, I'm just going to leave it alone. So she's down to just the one box, and she's been fine. So I went to our local animal shelter and donated the boxes, which unfortunately the place wasn't open, so I just had to leave them outside. I was hoping to go in and actually give them to a person, but sometimes you don't get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And then I came home and I played some Dark Souls Remastered, which you have seen at least one episode of that this week. Yeah, you've seen at least one episode of that this week. Had some co-op. It was good. It was good stuff. And now I'm recording this. What do you know? So, let's see, what else can we talk about today? Well, one thing that I was thinking about the other day is certain sayings and like where the heck they came from. Like, Bob's your uncle. What? If you don't know what I'm talking about, in English there's a saying that's it's just Bob's your uncle. And usually it's said after when you're explaining like how to do something. So you'll say like, oh yeah, if you want to get rich quick, then you just don't actually listen to this. This is terrible advice, probably. If you want to get rich quick, you just go and you know what? I can't even think of a way to get rich quick, but you just make peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and then Bob's your uncle. Okay, see, it doesn't make any sense, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? You give somebody instruction, they say Bob's your uncle, as in like it's that easy. Basically, is what it is. But like, why is that the phrase Bob's your uncle? Why does that doesn't make any sense at all? Right? I'm not crazy, right? This saying does not make any sense. Like, first off, why does your uncle have anything to do with something being easy or hard or whatever? And also, why Bob? Why Bob? This doesn't make any sense. This whole saying just doesn't make any dang sense. I was trying to think about it, and all I can think of is maybe they were saying, like, a lot of people have an uncle named Bob. Bob is a common name, so it's, like, easy, but that just seems so dismissive of the name Bob and uncles in general, and that just, I don't know, that seems really crappy to me. So if you just saw me throw a spear into the ground, I was trying to do some little tricky stuff. Well, I say tricky stuff, but I was basically just trying to do some of the different moves that you can perform in Rain World. I was just kind of practicing and failing miserably for the most part, because I just don't understand how to do some of the moves in Rain World, which I have to work on. Another one is skin of your teeth. What? I get that, like, you're saying skin of your teeth because that is just the weirdest, like, dangly leg that I've ever seen on on one of the reindeer / moose rabbits. Skin of your teeth. Another saying in English. It's usually like when you get by just a slim margin. Okay, like you avoided harm by the skin of your teeth, that kind of thing. And I think that one I kind of understand, but it's still like, why did you pick teeth and skin? It's strange. So the best I can think is teeth don't have skin. Okay, I'm sure everybody can agree on that. And if you can't, please explain why. I am very curious as to how it is that you have skin on your teeth. But I'm thinking, like, because there's no skin existent, and because this saying is supposed to be like a very slim margin of something or other, that's got to be why, right? I mean, does that make sense? Maybe? I don't know. Skin on your teeth is such a weird saying. There are a lot of weird sayings. Like, another one is when something is a red herring. In English, it's like saying that basically somebody's trying to trick you into... I just realized how it is that you're supposed to get that little unlock right there. At least I think I just realized it. And maybe I will try that at some point. But what I'm thinking is you got to toss the pole into the ground and then do a backflip off the pole to get the thing. But I guess you could also just bring a squid skater and that'd be fine too. Anyway, red herring in English is like when somebody sets up... How can I put it? Like when somebody's trying to divert you from your goal. It's like a distraction, essentially. Like, it's a good example. When a friend of mine was helping me write some stuff for a D&D campaign, the thought was that the adventurers were going to be trying to find the cause of a specific thing. And that we would set up red herrings to divert them off the correct path. But why red herring? What does fish have to do with this? If any of you actually know, I am very curious. Like what the not etymology, but what or is it etymology? I don't know. What the root, or maybe not the root, but like where did this term come from? Red herring. It doesn't make any dang sense to me. Oy. So another thing that I was thinking about the other day is and this was partially because of the episode that I recorded of Rant World, was self-care. The reason that I was thinking about that is I would highly encourage any of you folks that are watching to take care of yourselves physically and mentally. And by that I mean, like, decent diet, exercise, all that stuff, because I unfortunately let that go for a little bit too long. I was kind of riding on the wave of my fitness from high school because I was in marching band. So I was very, very much like, I don't want to say I was athletic because that's not the case. I was just, I had a decent build, you know. It wasn't like a six pack or anything, six pack abs, nothing like that. But I was healthy. I was a healthy kid. And then when I got into college, that just kind of went by the wayside because I had very little physical activity. And I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to take care of yourself, because now I have a messed up lower back that will never fix itself. That poor lizard. I did not mean to stab him like that. I actually was meaning to eventually kill and eat him. Wait, was I going to kill and eat? Yeah, I was going to kill and eat him. But unfortunately, my spear got stuck, and I felt really bad about that. But anyway, I have a lower back problem. Basically, I have a... in between your, like, the bony parts of your spinal cord. I forget if the ones specific to me are lumbar or vertebrae or whatever. I can't remember. But basically the bony parts in between them is like this soft, cushiony stuff. It's like almost like a balloon filled with liquid, okay? One of those for me is completely ruptured and leaking all the time. Another one is protruding, as in there's a lot of pressure on it and it is forcing it to come out. The reason that's bad, you got all these nerves that run up your spinal cord, like in it. And when your spinal cord doesn't have that cushioning, sometimes it touches those nerves. And that's real bad. And it can cause you to, like, from what it did to me, is it basically caused me to be incapable of walking for quite a while. It's extremely painful. I cannot recommend it. As one might imagine. I wouldn't recommend having horrendous pain for the rest of your life. Now, I have been told that I can get this fixed. Or not get this fixed, but that I'm at an age where it is possible that this may fix itself so long as I keep up with my physical therapy. My physical therapy exercises, I should say. So I am trying to do that. But it is still painful. Sometimes. I mean, it's not as bad as it has been, thank God, because physical therapists, you are lifesavers. Thank you for everything you do. Holy crap! Thank you for everything you do. But so just basically take care of yourselves, folks. Like, don't if you think you got a health problem, don't wait. You know, try to keep at least somewhat fit. You know, get some physical exercise. Don't even if you have a desk job, like really commit to trying to do some physical activity every day. Because if you don't, it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt you in the long run, a lot, like goddamn a lot. What the heck? Oh my lord, people outside going crazy. So another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on, and it's something that I know I've touched on before, but I just wanted to mention it more as a little bit of a story and an aside. People who've been watching for a while know that I am very much about verifiable facts and data. And I mean, sometimes, like, you know, with some game mechanics and stuff, I kind of, not fudge it, but I'm like, I don't remember exactly how it works, and here's me trying to trade a mask to some scavengers, hoping that they're going to let me through, and unfortunately nobody ever waves me through, but I'm sitting here waiting for it. And this is something that came up many years ago with a friend of mine. So I live in a city in Massachusetts that, for whatever reason, a lot of people in the area think is very dangerous. But as somebody that used to live in Illinois very close to Chicago, I beg to differ. I very much beg to differ. This place is really no more dangerous than most cities. It's like, you know, I remember when I first moved here and people were like, oh man, there was a shooting this year. And of course my reaction, and also the reaction of my friend who used to live in New Jersey, were like, really? Just one? And you're really upset about that, huh? I mean, it sucks because somebody died, but like, you think that this place is horrendously dangerous because there was one? Really? Just very strange. So anyway, this friend of mine, not the one that used to live in New Jersey, a different person. One night, I was at their place with a bunch of other people, and he said something to the effect of, the town you currently live in was listed among the 10 most dangerous cities in the United States. And that struck me as very strange. So I was like, I mean, you've got like Kansas City, St. Louis, a lot of Michigan, unfortunately. I forget if Flint is one of the more dangerous ones, but I know Detroit is not considered a very nice place. There's a lot of places that are very, 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 very dangerous. And so I said to him, that sounds a little fishy. Are you sure? And he was like, yeah, I'm absolutely sure. You know, these articles all say it. So the next day, when I was on my break at work, I went and decided I'm just going to look this up because I got to know. I got to know. And it turns out, when I looked up the 10 most dangerous cities in the United States, I think this was for like 2014. I want to say it was for 2014 or something. Some time ago. There were so many articles, all saying they had the 10 most dangerous cities in the United States. And what do you know? They were all different lists. So I was like, all right, what is this even based on? Turns out they were all basing it on the FBI crime statistics. Okay, well, I go to the FBI website and look at the FBI crime statistics, and it's as I started to figure out very quickly, which is that this is all just based on people's own biases. They were cherry picking data out of these reports to say that cities near them were the most dangerous. Turns out, the city I live in, really not that dangerous in comparison to many places. And if I remember right, what it seemed like this person who had written an article saying that my city was one of the more dangerous ones in the United States, what they had based it on was not violent crime. They based it on like petty crimes, like graffiti and pickpocketing and things like that, which is like, really? That's dangerous to you? Could you clutch your pearls any tighter? I mean, like, people are in actual danger out here, and you're publishing this kind of garbage? For real? And the reason I tell this story is that I want you guys, if you don't already do this, and if you don't already, like, if your train of thought is not already in this kind of vein, what I would like to get across is that even people that you know and trust may accidentally mislead you. Because my friend that told me about this, he was convinced. He was convinced. And I think that's also part of his own personal biases, because he's lived around here for a while, and for whatever reason, a lot of people around here think that the city is dangerous. I think part of it is that there's like, we want to sound as important as Boston, because I don't live near Boston. I live on the other side of the state. We want to sound as important as Boston, so like we have to have a dangerous city for that. And that's, I don't know. My perspective could be entirely wrong, but that's just that's the thought that I get from the people in this area, or at least I should say in the area where my parents live, where I used to live when I was, in college and all that. Although I wasn't in college 4 years ago. I wasn't, oh my Lord. Actually, I was in college when this whole thing happened. Wasn't I? Or was I? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Anyway. So like I said, what I'm trying to get across is, I'm not saying greatly distrust your friends. That is not at all what I'm trying to say. Because I think that is not a good way to look at the world. What I am trying to say is, when somebody tells you something, don't always just take it as fact, because sometimes people accidentally misrepresent the facts. And when I say they accidentally misrepresent the facts, what I mean is they believe something and haven't really considered why they believe it. And so they pass it on to you and pass it off as fact, which it may not be. Oh yes, that's right, I've had this bug that I was attempting to eat the eyes off of, and yeah, I just didn't have a spear, so I couldn't really do it. Too bad, so sad. Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, you really got to make sure why. Like, when you believe something, try to make sure that you understand why it is that you believe that thing. Okay, because not a great thing from my past, but I was not exactly the nicest person when I was younger. And when I say that, I mean that, like, I had very negative views, or maybe not negative, but I had, well, negative in terms that the views were negative and just not smart and very stupid about certain groups of people. And thankfully, as I've grown up, and in my maybe like early mid-20s, I finally figured out I was being extremely stupid and changed my ways. And the way that I did that was I started thinking about basically solutions, I guess is how I would put it. I'm trying to think how I can tackle this without making it sound absolutely horrendous, but I don't think there is a way. So one of the reasons that a lot of people in this area, and I say this area, I mean that in and around the towns that I shouldn't say that I grew up in, but that I grew up in Massachusetts, okay? There is this thought that the somewhat significant Puerto Rican population is the cause of a lot of crime and strife in this area, which is so incredibly flawed. And the reason I say, there's a lot of reasons that I say that it's flawed. One of which is that this thought is based entirely on the nationality of origin that these people have, which is just completely ridiculous. But oh god, now I can't remember where the heck. Oh, that's where I was going. Sorry. Oh yes, and of course I had to pause the game because a telemarketer called, and I thought that it was my girlfriend, so I was like, I gotta answer the phone, but no, it was a telemarketer. So I'm back in just a minute. But anyway, I'm gonna keep talking. What I mean by what I'm trying to get at with this whole thing is part of what changed my perspective was I started thinking about how you actually solve problems. You don't solve problems by just picking somebody or something at random that you don't like and then saying, getting rid of that or limiting this thing is how you get to a solution. It's kind of like some time ago in the United States, we had a president named George W. Bush. And this is not his fault, I don't think, but there was this sentiment. Oh, I hate that drop wig, the fact that it actually crawled back down the wall. I don't believe that this sentiment is really his fault at all. I think that there has just always been an air of, I'm just going to call it what it is, an air of racism in this country that has never really gone away. I don't think any country is devoid of racism, but fortunately it seems slightly more prevalent in the United States in some cases. There was this thought, I hate the fact that that centipede stayed alive and was able to continue moving around. There was this thought that Mexican immigrants were stealing people's jobs, which was just so not the case. And I'm sorry, but if you think that that is the case, I highly, highly encourage you to look at the labor statistics for that time. Throwing what the heck I was trying to do there. I was trying to jump boost by throwing something. And also, I hate that dropwig right there because dropwigs are disgusting, horrible monsters. And they just give me the heebie-jeebies. So it's like, all right, well, unemployment is high in the United States, or was high at the time, from my recollection. So people were saying, oh, these, Mexican immigrants or illegal Mexican immigrants are taking our jobs. And the reason this comes to mind is because it sticks in my mind because of South Park. I know it's a horrible reason to start thinking about something, but South Park did I think they did a whole bunch of episodes of people just like constantly saying they're taking our jobs. So that's why that sticks in my head. So, people thinking, oh, well, it's these Mexicans taking our jobs. Like, okay, well, you can think that, and you're wrong. And so trying to legislate keeping these people out of our country is not really going to help solve this problem. You may think it's going to, and after the legislation is passed, you may have some, I forget, is it cognitive bias? I forget what the actual term is, but it's basically when you think something and therefore you agree with everything that... You perceive everything that agrees with your point of view as fact. And that is just incorrect. It's just... I am glad that I've mostly gotten over that, because otherwise I would still be a garbage person, I think. But you really have to think about, like, the actual solutions, which is why I'm also very pro-science. Science, to me, is completely agnostic. Well, it completely ignores personal bias, or at least it tries to, through the scientific method, And I think that's really a good way to kind of look at, maybe not life, but how you want to find solutions to problems. You need to dig into actual statistics and understand what they mean in order to find real solutions to real problems so that you can make life better. And just blaming a person or group of people without any, idea of what's really going on is just one of the worst possible things you can do. And here we are in Dropwig Alley that man, the Hunter area is just so oh, I thought you had me right there, buddy. This area is just so full of badness. I was sure I was going to miss that spear, and I'm so happy I didn't. And I panicked so hard right here. I was trying to climb one of those poles so badly to get away from this dropwig, and it just was not happening. Oh, it was so bad. So I'm sorry to get into like the real, kind of heavier topics, but it's something that I think about on a fairly regular basis, because I think that one of the biggest problems that we face as human beings is... And it's honestly, I think, part of the human condition. People are essentially programmed to notice patterns, and sometimes that is also our downfall. So what am I trying to do here? Well, I am trying to get that dropwig to come down and try to feed off of one of its brethren so that I can stab it. And sometimes if you feed them, they will actually leave you alone because they'll be like, oh, food, and they'll leave. But instead, it decided to come down and then get stabbed in the face by yours truly. So thanks, dropwig, for getting ruined. And here I am. I believe I'm actually heading towards a shelter. I think I'm heading towards a shelter. Yeah, I'm heading towards a shelter. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles, obstacles that we face is this human condition wherein we eschew facts and reality for assuring our own biases. And in order to get over that, I think it's very difficult, and I don't think you'll ever truly have human beings getting over their own biases like 100%. I think there's always going to be an element of that no matter what. But the important thing is that we try. I know I've said this in the past. I fail. Everybody fails. The important thing is that you try, to be a better person. You know, sometimes, like, I remember even on one of the streams one night, I said some things that were slightly negative about the folks that live in this area. And I didn't mean it in a way that was... And when I say the folks that live in this area, I'm not talking, like, racial stuff, okay? It was more about, because, like I said, I used to live in Chicago, and I had seen people here talking about how cold it gets, etc. And what happened was I was talking about my first year living here and how my dad and I were outside shoveling snow in our shorts, and after, you know, realizing that there really wasn't... oh my god, this is so distracting. I hate watching these things. Like, I love watching them and I hate watching them. I kept hearing from all these people at school, like, oh man, the winters here get so rough and, like, you really got to watch out. And I was like, all right, well, you know, we're going to be prepared because we're from Chicago. And they were like, no, it's rougher than that. And then it turns out, no, it really wasn't. But the way that I framed my comments was very negative towards these people. And later, one of my moderators, who is originally from this area, and by coincidence, well, maybe not by coincidence, but funny enough, has moved to my previous homeland, talked to me afterwards and was like, I really did not enjoy those comments. Like, and we talked about it, and I came to realize, like, I am succumbing to my own biases. I am not doing something that I'm proud of, and I am sorry for that. Like, I had a moment, or maybe not a moment, but I had several moments of, I don't want to say weakness, because that makes it sound like something drew me into it. It was several moments of failure. But, you know, being able to identify that you have done something wrong, being able to accept that you have done something that has hurt somebody else, and that it is not their fault but yours, is extremely important in finding real, honest-to-God solutions. Oh, you're gonna probably grit your teeth and cringe real bad in a couple seconds. I'm just giving you a warning. Watching this. Yep, it's gonna happen. You're gonna cringe. I know it is. I know you're gonna do it. So having these moments of self-reflection where you understand and try to accept that maybe you're not correct in this and that you've done something wrong. And certainly there are some times where, like, if somebody says, oh, well, something you said offended me, it's maybe not entirely your fault. Okay, get ready to cringe. Here it comes. Maybe it's not entirely your fault. And I'm not trying to apologize for it. That was the cringe moment. I was trying to hit the popcorn plant and completely went the other way because, oh, the stupids. You know, I do understand that some people can be overly sensitive, and I don't mean to generalize, but I'm going to. A lot of the times I think it's younger folks because they don't fully understand. They're not fully formed human beings. That's not to say that all younger folks are super oversensitive, because I do not believe that is true. But there are some, certainly. And unfortunately, I can't think of a good example at the moment. Oh, here's a good example. When I was in band, there was a person who was playing, I don't remember what instrument. It was a woodwind instrument, but I can't remember if it was flute or clarinet. It doesn't matter. Or maybe it was saxophone? I don't know. But anyway, the band director picked her out and was not being a jerk about it, but just said, you know, do you need another copy of the sheet music? It doesn't sound like you're playing what we have. It's something along those lines, and she was terribly offended by it. Which, you know, maybe she wasn't entirely... It hadn't had enough time to really catch up to where the rest of the band was. That is entirely possible. But she seemed extremely offended by this comment. Instead of saying, you know what? I am to blame for this. I am to blame for my own mediocre playing, I guess is how I would put it. I don't want to say that it was bad, but it, you know, missed a couple notes here, a couple things, a couple parts were not really played exactly how they should be, you know, that kind of thing. But another important part of that is being able to let yourself try to identify when it is truly your mistake and when it's really on somebody else is quite important, I think. And I don't want to say err on the side of it's your fault, but doing so for me has helped, I suppose. It's just, it takes real critical thought. Like, it's not something where you can just say, oh, this is always somebody else's fault, or oh, it's always my fault, or whatever. But anyhow, we're getting towards the end of the recorded video, so that is going to do it for this one. I hope you all did enjoy it. If you did know what to do, that's going to be for me, Notorious BLT. Hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you all next time. And also remember to ring the bell, because for some reason YouTube is doing some crazy stuff. All right, I'll check you later. Bye.